Ilang paglilinaw po bago ako magsimula. Gaya nga nasabi kanina, ako'y 39 na anyos pa lamang at hindi pa kwalipikado para magdeklara o tumakbo. Subalit, nakikilaw kami sa mga pagpupulong tulad nito para makibahagi sa paghubog ng debate, polisiya at plataforma ng mga kakandidato sa darating na halalan. At sa kabila ng pagdadalamhati natin sa pagpano ni Pangulong Aquino, pinili namin na makilahok pa rin upang hindi masayang pagkakataon na magkaroon ng palitan ng pananaw tungkol sa dapat na maging agenda ng susunod na Pangulo ng ating bansa. Sino man po siya, naririto man nasa labas ng silid o kwartong ito. Sa pamunuan ng EJAP, sa mga piling bisita na naririto ngayon, sa mga reactors natin na naririto ngayon, iba pang piling panahon, tanggapin po ninyo aking pagbati. Isang maganda maulan at nagluluksat nagdadalamhating umaga sa inyong lahat. If we, the Filipino people, would view the last 60 years of our history, they can only be termed as decades of missed opportunities. After the Second World War, the Philippines had the second highest per capita GDP in Asia. Today, we have, sadly, one of the lowest. During the 1950s, the Philippines had the highest standards in education in Asia. In fact, most of our neighbors were sending their children to the Philippines for education. Today, we rank poorly in achievement scores. The average high school student, for example, or graduate in Japan, has a higher knowledge of science and mathematics than the average Filipino college student. During still the 60s, before I was born, the Philippines produced enough food to feed her people. Today, we are the biggest importers of rice in Asia. During the 60s and early 70s, the Philippines had one of the lowest electricity rates in Asia. Today, we have one of the highest. Prior to martial law, we had less than 1 million Filipino immigrants to foreign countries. Today, estimates reach 9 to 10 million Filipinos who have chosen to vote using their feet. The question we must all ponder is this: what is wrong with us? Why does our march towards the road to development seem to be a pattern of 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward? What I will present to you this morning is not something novel nor new. Perhaps it will be different in approach, perhaps it will be different in priority, but they will be the same concepts and words you will be hearing in the course of the debates in the months to come, leading to the 2010 presidential elections. Let us begin with the proposition and agree on one common goal. As public servants, we serve only the highest interests of our people. Primarily, we seek to eliminate or reduce poverty and improve the quality of life of every Filipino. In a market economy, we should strive for higher family incomes, a highly educated or trainable workforce, better healthcare, affordable food, clothing, housing, and peaceful communities. The intermediate goal is the creation of millions of new jobs, millions of new livelihood opportunities. This would necessitate being able to successfully attract much greater amounts of direct investment, especially foreign investments. To succeed in enticing investors, both local and foreign, I submit that whoever becomes the next president should consider and focus on the following priority areas. First, good governance. We must repair our weakened and damaged houses. The trust and faith and confidence of the Filipino people in critical institutions such as the Office of the President, Congress, COMELEC, the Department of Justice, and all other law enforcement agencies, including the Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, not to mention our courts, including revenue-generating agencies, have indeed been greatly diminished. We must have a stable policy environment, no more atras abante as we have seen in the past, and we should cease changing our rules in the middle of the game. We must enforce our laws and enforce them speedily. People will obey and follow our laws if we ensure certainty of punishment. We must enlist the best and the brightest of people in government and pay them the equivalent salaries that they should be earning in the private sector. We should confront the issue of corruption directly and frontally. As for example, when Lee Kuan Yew first became Prime Minister of Singapore, the very first thing he did was to hire the best and the brightest in his country and pay them the correct, proper, and right salaries. And the very first official he caught, allegedly stealing, quote-unquote, from government, he immediately removed and put in jail. You know what the offense of his cabinet official was? He accepted an upgrade from economy to business class when he was traveling from Singapore to another place of destination, if only to prove the point and to send the signal clearly that the next government is serious about addressing the problem of corruption and considers it shameful for any public official to ostentatiously display wealth, especially in times of acute public want. Still on governance, we must follow the principle of subsidiarity, devolving authority to the lowest level of government which can handle the problem. Regions and provinces, cities and municipalities, and barangays are tired of waiting for Imperial Manila to act on their problems. As soon as the national government can afford it, and we have filed a corresponding bill to this effect, we must increase the internal revenue allotment of local government units from where it stands at 40% of the internal revenue 3 years ago to as high as 60% in the next 4 years. This, I believe, would hasten economic development, especially in the countrysides. Second, we must strengthen our finances. This year, we will perhaps suffer the biggest budget deficit in the history of the country. Some estimates place it anywhere between 300 to 350 billion pesos. Such budget deficits are simply unsustainable. We must improve our collection efficiency. We must establish islands of good governance within revenue-generating agencies, including the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Bureau of Customs. To cite an example, we must put a stop on smuggling. Because aside from its dire effects on the businesses, existing and local, estimates can reach as high as $10 billion or 48 billion pesos a year. If we were able to collect the VAT on these imports alone, that would already be approximately an additional 50 billion pesos a year in government coffers.